Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hallowed Be Thy Game. Ren here, and if you're a fan of RPGs and general discussions about the games we all know and love, then you got a friend in this channel. I post at least once a week on topics from pickup videos, new releases, to just chatting about the games that have reached hallowed status in my heart. So I want to thank you so much for watching. And today, we're talking about our nosurge Plus, Ode to an Unborn Star, for the PS Vita. Let's check it out. Story. Our nosurge is a part of the R Tenelico series, but I have not played those games, and while I think it would give a broader perspective, it was definitely not necessary to understand the game's general plot and direction. The Earth has been destroyed through the use of a new power known as song magic. The surviving human race is now at war with an alien race known as the Sharl. The last remnant of humanity has begun to live on a ship, and now the Sharl have located them, and they're always attempting to breach the walls of the city to finally wipe out mankind. There is a mystical and otherworldly feel to our nosurge that permeates throughout the story, and it gives a level of tension with a great mystery surrounding one of the main characters in the game, Vash the Stampede. I mean Delta. Okay, real quick, I absolutely cannot express how much I love the voice acting in our nosurge Plus. Delta is voiced by the man, the myth, and the legend himself, Johnny Young Bosch. Cassidy is the other main character in the game, and her voice actor does a superb job in the delivery. An interesting dynamic to the story and presentation is that they heavily rely on character development, which I was definitely a fan of. Song magic is integral to both the plot, combat, and character development. I love when developers can link all of these concepts together seamlessly. Song magic is a devastating combat mechanic that can annihilate entire groups of enemies. Song magic is learned and empowered in the game by exploring the internal struggles of characters in our nosurge. Character development sits center stage as the game allows you to dive into the minds of your team as Delta. Delta is a former operative for the military who's called back into service to help save an engineer who's been captured by the Sharl. The plot's beginning is rather easy to follow at first, and even when things begin to deepen, it's never too insanely hard to follow. Let me put it this way. If you like anime such as Ergo Proxy, then I don't think you're going to have any difficulty with this story's premise. The story presentation is shockingly good. I love the anime opener, and the mixture between visual novel and being able to run around and explore in the game is a very easy way to consume the story. As a side note, there is a mechanic where you can synthesize items and such, and the game plays this hilarious cutscene between the characters, and it had me rolling. Usually, rare games are not my favorite, but our nosurge Plus, Ode to an Unborn Star, is a hidden diamond in the rough, but a diamond nonetheless. Now, I want to give you guys a heads up here. My only major complaint with this game is that the female characters are just designed to look way too young to be cast in mature relationships. It never adds anything to the story, and this is a JRPG trope that I would be okay if it just ended altogether. Music. The music of our nosurge Plus is fantastic. The story concept of song magic has an integral role to the entirety of the game, so with so much of the combat and story being centered around songs, the soundtrack should be bumping, right? Well, it is! I really enjoyed the songs from this entry, and the anime opener and the title theme are incredible. The opening reminded me a lot of one of my favorite games of all time, Xenogears, and that is a good thing to remind me of. The vocals and rhythm carry an ancient, ethereal aura, and it sets the perfect tone that nothing is as it seems in the world of our nosurge. This soundtrack is the perfect coupling to the story, as we're trying to uncover what is really happening to humanity, and what has Delta had to do in the past that has altered the entire course of mankind. It's a mystery worth exploring, and the combat theme is exhilarating, and each song magic animation is very well done and exciting. I really appreciate that each song magic had its own unique theme and helps contribute to the stellar design choices for combat. But we will cover that in further detail later. Performance and gameplay. The performance of our nosurge Plus for the PS Vita is sadly a mixed bag for me. I was having a discussion at length with my good friend RPG Heels about how I think I'm just too quick to forgive AA Studios for any performance issues with the game. In the case of our nosurge for the Vita, the performance is just not great. I never had the game outright crash on me, I do want to preface that. But running around in cities, the frame rate just straight up tanks. It's terrible. It's not unplayable, I should say though. But if you are in any way annoyed by choppy lag, then you need to prepare yourself for traversing around in cities. Again, I'll be the first to admit that I did really enjoy this game, but the performance needed some work. The PS Vita is a powerhouse machine that can run these games really well. And I'm not just referencing Persona 4 Golden, but we also have other stellar titles by AA Studios such as Trails of Cold Steel 2 by Falcom. It can be done, and the graphical demands of this game should have lent it to do better. I would love to see a port of this game come to the Switch. Shocker, I know. But I really do think modern day gamers would really enjoy it. But they would have to address the frame rate. The performance in combat never reached this level of lag for me personally, and the gameplay mechanics flowed really well. Speaking more to the gameplay mechanics, our nosurge plays unlike any other game I have played in a long time. The ebb and flow of preparing and furthering your character's power levels carries normal accessories that you can equip, but there are so many deep systems to power creep in our nosurge that when I first began playing it, I honestly was starting to feel overwhelmed. The game has a great tutorial system, so never be too intimidated by the initial complexity. Deepening your relationship with characters helps to unlock song magics for them that can be used tactically in combat to counteract enemies. This serves two great purposes. Not only does it add more complexity, in a good way, to combat, but it also gives a meaningful way to get to know the cast while also helping you feel more powerful. There's a system in the game that allows you to enter into the subconscious of your party members, and by doing this, it'll allow you to help them with their emotional struggles or any type of emotional trauma they may be dealing with. The stories are unique and presented in a visual novel format, but I found myself getting lost in helping them overcome these. It's a fascinating concept that I found to be an extremely brilliant way to link combat to character development. On top of this, there are further customization you can do to characters' loadouts that have some build diversity potential with how you want your team to play. Think of this like just equipping materia in Final Fantasy VII. That covers the broad strokes for introductory combat and gameplay, but just know this is a refreshing gameplay loop that breaks from the typical mold of turn-based RPG gaming. The PS Vita hides a deep wealth of incredible and distinct JRPGs that deserve more recognition. Combat. I've alluded to the combat mechanics of our nosurge enough already, but let's take a deeper look at the combat design choices. Yes, it is your classic turn-based RPG. However, our nosurge approaches the typical conventions of combat in an entirely unique way. You are actually able to kill every enemy in the dungeon in a single fight. Yes, you heard me correctly. How cool is that? In fact, you're rewarded and heavily encouraged to do so. There's XP and money modifiers that will be added by doing this even. What will happen is you will enter into an area filled with monsters. You will have an aggro meter that will show you when you are getting closer to a random encounter proccing. When you engage in combat, you'll be asked to choose a song magic for that fight. It is a grid-based combat system that reminds me in presentation of one of my all-time favorite games, Radiant Historia. Let me know down in the comments if you've ever played that amazing game. You will be able to choose which lane of the grid you want to attack, and then have the choice between your 4 face buttons and what attack you want to do. These abilities range from single attack moves to area of effect abilities. As you make actions in combat, you will gain a resource that can be spent to unleash a glorious and devastating spell that will wreck whatever enemy is unfortunate enough to be in front of you. A major aspect to combat that I fell in love with is an active real-time blocking system. As Delta is the brawler warrior for the group, he also has the ability to block and defend for the heavy-hitting song users in your party. Choosing the song magic at the beginning is key because after you take out enough enemies in front of you, they'll be replaced with another wave of enemies. These waves of enemies are actually other random encounters in that zone you're in. So if you destroy every wave of encounters in that fight, there will be no more random encounters in that area. Song magic plays a really freaking cool role in this. As you destroy multiple waves of enemies, your song magic will be empowered, and you can unleash it to kill every single wave. So let me explain it this way. If there are 10 random encounters in the area you are exploring, if you use Delta to kill 2 waves of enemies, it will be enough to empower your song magic. When unleashed, it plays a killer cutscene as each wave of enemies is obliterated before you. You have now killed everything and can proceed. Word of caution though, this game makes the odd choice of having what it felt like was a random spike in damage and level requirements when entering a new area. In essence, all I ended up doing to counteract this was to enter, exit, and then re-enter combat areas to essentially farm that entire zone. Nothing crazy, but I found it helped with the odd jumps and level requirements for areas. Still mega unique, and I was a major fan of this combat system. If you love RPGs for combat mechanics, then this is a glorious oddity that is a wonderful joy to play. Thank you guys so much for watching to the end of today's video. Are nosurge Plus for the PS Vita? Do you think it should be ported to the Switch? I'd love to know. Let me know down in the comments. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so we can keep hanging out in the future. And until then, I'll see you guys next time.